السلام عليكم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. So before I start, I want to tell you guys a funny story that happened yesterday. So as you guys know, I'm on tour, or I was on tour with my sister for the first time in the UK. And she just left this morning, unfortunately, so she was not able to make it today. So yesterday, she went on, and she was speaking, and I was supposed to go after her. So, I was told that the CEO of the organization would come on after her, and she was still speaking. So I thought to myself, I have at least 5 minutes to run to the bathroom. So I quickly run to go to the bathroom. And next thing I know, this lady is like following me into the bathroom. She's like, you have to run, where are you, where are you? So basically what happened was my sister finished like 2 seconds, and then the CEO came up and spoke for 2 minutes, and then they were like, where's Yasmin? But the funny thing isn't the fact that I was like missing in action when I was supposed to be on stage. It was what Wendy thought. So Wendy was thinking to himself, where is Yasmin? What am I gonna do? Like, Yasmin's gone. And instead of thinking perhaps she's in the bathroom, he literally thought she probably went to find a forest. And he was thinking, how am I gonna find Yasmin in a forest? It's literally what he thought. So, alhamdulillah, I came back and I gave my talk. So I'm gonna ask you guys for a favor. As a speaker, there's this thing that we have to do, which is we sort of have to do this one-way communication, which really stinks. Okay, I don't like one-way communication. I like connection. So I want to be able to feel that we are connecting. So I only ask one thing from you as an audience, because we can't actually have a conversation. I'm going to ask you guys to do something called non-verbal communication. And what that means, I need you to make faces. Okay? What does that mean? It means don't do this. Because then I have no idea if you have any idea what I'm saying. So just make faces, be animated. If you don't agree with something I'm saying, be like, that's fine. If you agree, be like, okay, deal? Yes? Okay. Here's the thing, I know I'm competing with very low blood sugar. And I understand that that's difficult, so I'm asking you for some help. Alright, I'm going to talk quickly today, because I don't want to get in the way of you breaking your fast, about something very important. And that is that we are, as we speak, in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. And during the last 10 nights of Ramadan, the Prophet ﷺ told us that there is a very special night, and that is Laylatul Qadr. Laylatul Qadr is the night of power. It is a night where we can transform. What is power, though? I want to talk about power, but I don't want to talk about the typical type of power. You know, the power that pharaohs and tyrants want. I want to talk about the real kind of power. And the real kind of power is the inner power, the power internally. Because the Prophet ﷺ told us, he taught us something very, very, very influential. And that is that if we want to see change, how many of you guys want to see change? Anyone in this room want to see change? Only like 2 people. Everybody wants to see things improve, right? Well, the Prophet ﷺ and Allah teaches how change happens. Allah says in an ayah, very profound ayah, Indeed, Allah does not change the condition of a people. So now we're talking about the condition externally, right? Allah doesn't change the condition of a people until they change what is inside themselves. We all get into situations that we don't like. As we are right now, we are not happy with the situation we're in as a community. We're not happy with the situation we're in as an ummah. How is that going to change? The problem is that we don't understand change. We don't understand how change happens. And because we don't understand how change happens, we will never change. Our condition will never change until we realize that change is not about the West. Change is not about Israel. It's like Israel did this, Israel did... change happens inside. And you know, this is a concept which we sometimes have trouble with. I gave this example that when you look at the difference between Adam and Iblis, when you look at Adam and Iblis, you find this lesson. You Okay? But what is the difference between them afterwards is that Adam alayhi salam takes responsibility. He takes responsibility for his own actions and for his own change. He says, رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا. This is important. He says, our Lord, we've wronged our own self. We did it to ourselves. He didn't even try to blame Shaitan. He didn't even try to say, Iblis, Shaitan made me do it. He says, رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا. We wronged our own selves. وَإِن لَمْ تَغْفِرْ لَنَا وَتَرْحَمْنَا لَنَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. And if you do not have mercy on us and forgive us, we will be among the losers. So he takes responsibility and he teaches us what we're supposed to do when we find a situation where we've made a mistake or we find a situation that we want to change. And what happens is Allah forgives him. And then what happens to Adam alayhi salam? He becomes a prophet. And he gets sent down to this earth as a prophet. What happens to Iblis? Iblis, on the other hand, does not take responsibility. He says it's your fault because you have kicked me out. You know this attitude that we have, that things just happen to us, right? And we like to blame, we want to blame the external factors for our condition. But when we do that, we're actually paralyzing ourselves because we don't realize that we internally have to change if we want to see change. Iblis did the opposite. He did not humble himself. He did not take responsibility. And instead he blamed Allah. He said, because you kicked me out. So Iblis ends up being cursed forever. He did not humble himself and he did not repent. Now, what does this have to do with us? We are facing trials. We are facing hard times. How is that going to change? Believe me, it's not going to change by anyone else changing it for us. It's not going to change because the media likes us. It's not going to change if we become more militarily strong or financially, independent. Those are not the places where change comes from. Ultimately, those are just means, they're tools. But the actual source of change is inside. So we need to change. Now I want to talk about this. How does that happen? How can we begin to change? There are different kinds of power that I want to discuss. Number one, I want to tell you and remind myself about the power of the heart. The Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّ فِي الْجَسَدِ مُضْغَةً إِذَا صَلَحَتْ صَلَحَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّهُ. Indeed, in the body there's a lump of flesh, and if it is set right, the entire body is set right. وَإِذَا فَسَدَتْ. And if it is corrupted, the entire body, فَسَدَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّهُ. The entire body is corrupted. أَلَا وَهِيَ الْقَلْبُ. Indeed, it is the heart. Interestingly enough, when we sit and we talk about political issues, when we discuss political change, we want to find political solutions. And while that's a relevant discussion, we do need to talk about those things. But ultimately, what is the deep source of change? It has to be internal. You and I need to change. There's a very powerful quote. It's a poem. And it said that I used to be clever, so I tried to change the world. And then I became wise, so I changed myself. And the idea here is that you and I want to see change. Let's begin with ourselves. We don't like oppression, right? Does anyone in this room like oppression? Raise your hand if you like oppression. Strangely enough, no one does, or no one admits it, right? We don't like to see oppression overseas. But have we eliminated oppression in our own homes? Have we eliminated the oppression that we inflict our families with? Have we eliminated the oppression in our masajid? You know what I'm talking about? We don't like the tyrants overseas, but we have some monarchs in our masajid boards. You know what I mean? And then they just stay there forever. And they never go. There's some people who've been on the board for 15 years. I don't know how it is here, but in the States, it's like, so the idea is that we talk about concepts, but we are living those concepts in our own homes. You know, we talk about being religious, right? And it's funny because when a person becomes religious, you know, when a person becomes practicing, and the first thing you see is that they get a big beard. That's cool, if they can grow a beard, as long as they're a man. Right? Let's hope. So they have a big beard, and they have short pants, and all of a sudden, that means they're religious now, right? And if it's a woman, you know, you're going to see the way she dresses, the religiosity of a person very differently. He said, خَيْرُكُمْ خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِهِ, for example. خَيْرُكُمْ خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِهِ. The best of you are those who are the best of their families. So now all of a sudden the definition is very different, because we think that being religious means we go home and yell at our families because of the way that they're not eating this right, or they're not doing this right, you know what I'm saying? And somehow we measure religiosity by how many things we can yell at people about it being haram. Right? Yes, you're being enthusiastic, I love that. Okay. So that's my point. That we think that religiosity is about being harsh, we become harder. But that's not correct. Because when Allah's love and light enters the heart, we become softer. You should not become harder. Allah's love and light makes the heart softer, not harder, not harsher. So if you're becoming harsher, then that's a bad sign. If we want things to change outside of ourselves, we have to change ourselves. And that change begins at home. It begins with me. You know this cliche, be the change you want to see in the world? It's very true. So first of all, the power of the heart. When the heart changes, then all of the actions change. When the heart changes, all of the actions change. And when your actions change, your family will change, your circumstance will change, your community will change, and the world will change. That's how change happens. But it begins by changing yourself. Don't leave it on someone else to make the change. You need to change. You need to change. Second, I want to talk to you about the power of focus. Remember that whatever you focus on grows. See, we are facing problems. We are facing darkness. And trust me, brothers and sisters, if we focus on those problems, and if we focus on that darkness, it will grow. And it surrounds us, and then we drown in it. We drown in it, and we feel like we're trapped. But see, the difference between a person who is successful and a person who is not is what they focus on. When you focus on the light, it grows. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَئِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. If you are grateful, if you are thankful, I will increase you. You know a person who focuses on what they have? What they have increases. And a person who focuses on what they don't have, what they don't have increases. There's this meme that I sent to my family. Basically at the top, it's a picture of a little boy who's holding a slice of cake. And he's looking at the slice of cake and he's just exhilarated. He's beaming, he's so happy. And then at the bottom, there's another little boy who's looking at an entire cake, missing one slice, and he's sad. Do you know why? Because the boy on the top actually has less, but he's focused on what he has. And the boy on the bottom has more, but he's focused on what he doesn't have. What you focus on grows. If we are going to be a community who focus on the problems, focus on all of they're all against us, and they're saying this about us, and this woman had her hijab done this too, and this, if that's what we're going to focus on, then what's going to happen is we only paralyze ourselves. If right now the entire room suddenly, like, the electricity goes off, and it becomes dark, I can stand here, and I can talk to you about, oh my God, it's so dark. And I can sit and I can lament the darkness. Or I can do something about getting some light. I can go try to get a candle. I can do something to bring light. We can sit and complain about the problems we have. We can sit and complain about Islamophobia. But it isn't going to change just because we're complaining about it. It's going to change when I change and when I do something positive to contribute light to that dark room. Instead of sitting and focusing on the darkness, I need to focus on what light am I bringing into that room. And as a community, if we can stay positive and we can continue to focus on what positive things can we contribute, can you contribute? Every single person in this room can contribute something. And we all have our role. By the way, Allah created you, specifically chose you to be on this earth for a purpose. He chose you, it wasn't an accident. It was for a purpose, and each person People who ingest too much news, it's like ingesting too much poison. You gotta take, if you have to take poison, take it in little bits. Just so you know what's going on. But realize that the news has a very specific agenda. And don't think that Islamophobia, as Daniel was saying, Islamophobia is not only targeting non-Muslims. Don't think that Islamophobia is only targeting non-Muslims. Islamophobia is targeting you and me. And it is trying to demoralize us. There is an agenda not only to make non-Muslims hate Islam, but to make us self-hating. They want to make us self-hating. So be careful of sipping too much of that poison. Do you understand what I'm saying? Alright? So we have to be careful that we don't allow that poisonous, that toxicity into our bloodstream until it affects us. And then all of a sudden we want to apologize for being Muslim. I'm so sorry I'm Muslim. Just forgive me. I am just like you. I really am. You know what I mean? I'm just like you. We're no different. We got the same God. That's cool. We got the same God. Of course we have the same God. But this idea of apologizing for who you are, what made Muhammad Ali so amazing? He never apologized for who he was. He didn't apologize for being Muslim. He was proud. So just be careful that they don't make you self-hating. Be careful and be focused on the light. Whatever you focus on grows. Finally, there is power in hope. See? See, that's enthusiasm. There is power in hope. There is power in hope. I want to end with this. When we look at the stories of our great predecessors, our prophets, peace be upon them all, we find that no matter what they faced, they never lost